Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ties That Bind DFW. I'm your host, Amber Monroe, and my goal is to foster unity within the community by sharing stories that inspire hope, passion, and resilience. I also like to spotlight local businesses as well. In a world that seems so obsessed with the divisiveness of social media, and not everything you see in the digital world is authentic, I'm here to bring the real. The views and opinions of my guests don't necessarily reflect mine or those of the Ties That Bind DFW podcast. All right, let's get into it. Everyone, I am so glad to have a friend of mine on. We have been Instagram buddies for a hot minute, showing the mutual love. I am just so excited for what Mrs. Tawana Miller is up to. She hails from Georgia. And so this is my first out of town or out of state interview, out of state and out of town interview. I'm wanting to kind of reach some of those people that I've been following for a while because I'm very invested in what they're doing and kind of want to go a little more global with things. So today we have a special treat. Like I said, her name is Tawana Miller. She is the owner and founder of Selym Granola Snacks. They are gluten-free, vegan, protein. She's going to tell you all about it. She can do a better job than I can. But I'm excited to have her on. Tawana, introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself and what you've got going on. Welcome.
Yeah, hey. So Amber, yes, we have been Instagram friends way too long. I feel like I know you. I love your content. You are hilarious. So I am so honored to be here with you.
Thank you.
So I really am. But hey, everyone, I'm Tawana Cherie Miller, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia, but I am from Long Island, New York, a nice, beautiful town, Rockville Center in Nassau County. And I am a wellness chef, and I am the owner of Selym Snacks. And Selym Snacks is a superfood energy granola company.
Great. I've been watching that journey, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What's she doing? And I can't wait to get mine. I'm excited.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's been a journey, and everything that we do, it's a journey, right? And what I'm learning is that we have to enjoy that journey and enjoy the process. So I've learned a lot in this past year, with Selym Snacks and getting that off the ground.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What kind of prompted you to create this, and kind of what was that thought process like for you?
It's really funny how things just kind of work out and how things come together. It's just, I'm just thinking about like a year ago, probably around March or April. Okay. Literally, my husband and I were in the park walking. I daily walk with my son. We go, we exercise as a family, and we're just kind of strolling and walking. And at this point, I am a wellness chef, so I'm doing meal prep for clients. Okay. And I was I was reducing my meal prep clients. It was just that time, sometimes when you're running a business for a couple of years, then, you kind of taper off and you start thinking about other things to do. Mm-hmm. So we're just having a conversation. It was nothing like serious. We're just having a conversation, strolling. And I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out what should be my next move. The meal prep has been going great, but I knew it was time to do something else. And I was telling my hubby that. So he says, just in passing, you really should go back to your granola. And I'm like, because I was thinking about another product. And he's like, you should go back to your granola. And of course, I'm giving him every reason why I should not be doing granola. Okay, there's about 50 million companies. Who's going to buy my granola? How am I going to go about it? Blah, blah, blah. So out of that conversation, we just started the ball rolling, because about 6 years ago, before I even started my meal prep business, I started making granola. And I would just give it to my son's teachers. I would give them out as gifts. I was making it for my family. So I never really thought about doing a business around it. And then a teacher has said, hey, why don't you, show your granola at a farmer's market? There's a farmer's market right there in town. I was like, that's such a good idea. So I did that as a hobby. And I did that as a way to get out the house, because at this point in my life, I am a stay-at-home mom for my special needs child. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
So I started out actually doing granola, and I created, the granola. I would go into a shared kitchen. I would make the granola and I would sell it at the farmer's market. Then COVID hit, and because I was a wellness chef, people were asking, "Hey, do you do meals? Can you make lunch for me? Can you make dinner for me? I'm working from home." That whole dynamic, and that's how I started doing meal prep. It's just hard to do both, so that's how it kind of started. Just a conversation with my hubby, and here we
Mhm.
are a year later.
Wow,
I
that is
know
great.
it is. It's quite amazing, and this year has been quite a journey because it's not.
Mm,
Oh, I'm going to do a granola product. Here's the bag. It's really there's so many
mm.
steps to it.
Indeed. Yeah, no, indeed. That seems like such a huge undertaking. And I was going to ask you, what kind of challenges did you run into during that process? If you could tell us about that.
Oh yeah, and I love this question because online, and even a lot of interviews, you hear like how great it is. I'm
Mm,
here. It's been wonderful. Blah blah blah. And not that it's been terrible, but of course, it's been challenging. Um,
mm,
when you enter into a space that you don't know anything about, no mentors, to say, you've done this in granola. What is my first steps?
mm,
So basically, it's really just doing as much research as possible. And
mm,
how I approached it was I needed to think about exactly what I wanted. I knew I wanted it low sugar. I knew I wanted low
mm,
salt. I wanted more taste in my granola. I wanted, really great sourced ingredients. I wanted to be superfood. I wanted people to be familiar with the ingredients. So, all of that, I was very intentional. So with that, I was able to do a lot of Googling, just a lot of research, a lot of phone calls, just talking to other people, especially when I was looking for manufacturing, because I knew from what I did granola a couple of years ago, I knew I didn't want to go in a shared kitchen and do it
mm.
myself.
Right.
So I learned a lot of lessons from the first time I was actually selling at the farmer's market. And
Okay.
I just knew that I wanted a manufacturer. I knew I wanted a partnership with a manufacturer because I wanted to be in the business. I wanted to work on the business and not just make the product.
Mm. Here,
So
here.
the process was, what I really wanted in a product, what I wanted the product to look like. And it's true what they say, you think about the finished job and then you go backwards from there, to get to how
Right.
you want to, how you want to get there. And so I knew what I wanted to look like. I knew what I wanted the granola to taste like. And I had to really be mindful that there was a lot of other granola companies out there. And
Mm,
not so much how am I going to be so different, but what am I going to do to have people say, hey, let me try her product,
mm.
And so with that,
Indeed.
I knew I wanted a story behind it. And my son is definitely the inspiration. So I
Mm,
really started this company and building this company on my son, Miles.
mm.
It's a process, but when you align yourself to what you really want and really just get your mind like really embedded in that, then you just take
Yes.
those steps.
Right. And you mentioned several things that I feel like people don't appreciate enough. The
Mhm.
thought that goes into everything that you do. It's like a mental workout,
Yes,
making those
yes,
phone calls, doing that
yes,
research. Just the
yes.
sound of that, because of the way my brain works, makes me feel tired.
I
um,
know.
you know, knowing that, yeah, that you've went through that. I admire people who are
Thank
heavy
you.
on the creative side and heavy on this is the left brain numbers work. So,
Yeah, because the bottom line is this was not going to be a hobby for me. When I
okay.
first started, it was, and there's nothing wrong with a hobby. But when you are developing a product, and I'm just going to keep it straight, it is not a cheap um, um,
Mm,
venture. It is
no.
very, very expensive. So to even think about paying thousands to bring a product to market, you better be serious about it.
Mm,
And so with that, it's so much more than just being the creative part. doing the creative part of the business, you really have to do the business behind the business,
Yes.
and I knew, I wanted to make sure I had everything in line, not perfect, but I wanted to make sure I had everything in line.
It's great. Yeah, you really do have to cross all your T's and dot all your I's.
As much as you
Uh,
can, things are going to come up. Yeah, things are going to come up, but as much as,
yeah,
you possibly can, you have to try to do that.
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. I was gonna also ask you during this process, you are doing your research,
Hmm.
investing lots of time, investing lots of money. Was
Hmm.
there ever a time that you hit a roadblock so huge that you started to question, am I doing the right thing? And if so, what was that like? And how'd you get out of that thought process?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's always roadblocks. I'm hoping after our talk, people do want to go into business, but the way it sounds just horrible, and it really isn't. But you have to be ready. There are roadblocks, and this is how I really think about it.
Hmm.
You can't learn, you cannot grow, you cannot scale without those roadblocks. The roadblocks
Mm,
is really what's going to help you learn and help you communicate and help you get to the next step. So, some of those roadblocks, of course, is what is manufacturing? Like, what does manufacturing look like? And how do I even begin that process? Because not every manufacturer is going to want to work with you, especially a startup
mm,
company. That part in itself took a couple of months, and we were so fortunate because there were a few manufacturers that said, no, we only work with XYZ or whatever, and, more established companies. And we were a startup. So we really needed to voice that to the person that we're going to be working with. So finding a manufacturer was really, really important. Someone that aligns their values with our values. And that's what it's about, working with people that you're aligned with, that you have synergy with. So
yes.
we were just so blessed. We found someone that loved our story, that loved Miles, and that really wanted to work with us.
Mhm.
And so that was one. Another roadblock is when you're developing a product, the recipe, it's like you just don't, oh, I'm just going to put a dash here and a dash there, even though a lot of people's just like, oh, it's granola, but it's granola that really tastes good and that is really
Mhm.
healthy. And that
Yeah.
did not happen overnight. So
Mm,
the roadblock is, okay, this tastes wonderful. And then when we do the nutritional facts on it, the numbers weren't where I wanted to be. The sugar was too
mm,
high, the salt was too high, and there wasn't enough protein. So that whole dynamic of creating a recipe that you could be proud of and actually taking the time and going through the process of developing a recipe that is healthy, that's low in sugar, low in salt, and that really tastes good. So that was a huge roadblock because I thought I had the bomb recipe. I thought my recipe
mm,
was straight. But then when we started making it, no, I needed to really work on reducing the sugar and giving it more taste. So that was a roadblock. And
mm,
then the mindset
mm,
is a roadblock for many. And that was a roadblock for me in the beginning because, going back
mm,
to, did you doubt yourself, blah, blah, blah. It was more like not doubting myself, but it was more questioning myself. If this is what I should
mm,
really be doing, there's so many granolas on the market. My son needs me. My family needs me. Do I really have time to
mm,
do this? So that is a roadblock that I think will constantly come up when you're trying to grow.
mm,
Those questions of, should I be doing this or how do I do this, blah, blah, blah. I usually just answer those questions. How do you do this? Okay. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do it. Should I be doing this? I'm going to answer that question. Yes. Why shouldn't you be doing it? Is this
mm,
going to work? This is not going to work. Or will it work? Yeah. How about if it
mm,
does work? You know what I mean?
mm.
So, those
Yeah.
roadblocks, I think the biggest one is the mindset and
Mm.
not focusing on anything negative that you may be hearing out in these streets. So yeah, there's a lot of roadblocks, but each roadblock is a blessing because it gets you to the next level.
Amen to that.
Right.
First, let me just say you've said a word, and I appreciate how you talk about, like you said, that most people, their biggest roadblock is going to be mental when you think about it. And I
Yes.
love that you say, of course, does my family need me? Of course, but is this going to be better for everyone? Is this an amazing product? Is this something I need to be doing? Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. And I love that you kind of ask yourself those important questions and are
Mhm.
able to answer them rationally and know that you need to keep pushing forward. That was, like I said, that's a word.
You have
And I
to answer
appreciate,
yourself. You have to
yeah.
answer to those questions. Those are just like that's just negativity just getting in. And but I'm
Mm,
not saying put your hand, head in the sand and not recognize if you need to make a shift. I mean, I knew I
for
needed to
sure.
make a shift from doing personal chef work. I knew I needed to make a shift. I felt it in my spirit. And so I really needed to do that. So I'm not saying put your head in the sand and not recognize when a shift needs to be made. Those are real things you need to consider. But when you feel like, oh, this is going to be great, and I know I can help people, I know I can inspire people with my son's, story and with our product, that's when you have to kind of go back to that and speak to those negative questions or those doubts.
Indeed, indeed. No, that's very true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I love the way that you look at that, and that's a
Thank
smart way
you.
to go. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
It took time to get there though. It's not like, oh,
Yeah.
look at her. No, it takes time. It takes a lot of talking to yourself and
Hmm.
just going through stuff. You learn to, you learn to be resilient, you have to.
This is true. Yeah, you really, really do.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned your son, and one of your posts you mentioned that Xylem. You, if you want to explain the name and kind
Oh
of,
yes. Yeah, thank you for that. I
of
love it. And it's
course.
so funny because people have people are like, how do you pronounce it? And I get that. It's Xylem, and you said it perfectly, Amber. But Xylem is my son's name, Miles, spelled backwards. And the reason that was very intentional. So everything that I'm doing is intentional, and it's done with purpose. And the reason why I wanted, and I didn't want to name it Miles Granola. So I just thought backwards would be so much more of a conversation piece, and
Yes. Mhm.
almost like a secret. Like, okay, when I am feeling doubtful or when I am questioning, I could just look at the name on the package and know why I'm
Mm,
doing this. So yeah, so that's pretty much
mhm,
why I named it Xylem. And here again, it wasn't like,
mm.
oh, I'm going to name it Xylem. I really wanted to think of a name that I know we would be proud of as a family. And, I know that has purpose and inspiration behind it.
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed. That's one of the best purposes that you can have, for sure.
absolutely.
Can you kind of, on that topic, can you kind of tell me a little bit about how you balance, being an entrepreneur, being a mom, and having a special needs son?
Mhm.
No one gets the balance perfect, but I would love some tips for myself and my listeners as well, if you have any.
Well, you're going to be mad at me because there is no balance. Like
Mm,
there is absolutely no balance.
mm,
It took me so long to be okay with that.
mm,
'Cause just think about it. If I'm talking here with you, I'm not doing work,
mm.
like written work, or I'm not with my son, or I'm not doing things around the house. So it is hard to do both, right? So one
True.
is you always got to give up a little of the other, and that is
Okay.
okay.
Mhm.
That is okay. So no, there's no balance. However, the way I think about it is when I'm with my son, I'm with my son. When I'm working, I'm working. I'm speaking to you, so I am concentrating and I am focused on our conversation. So when I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I am focused on that
Mm.
particular task. And so that's
Oh,
how I kind of think about balance.
okay.
I do try to prioritize my health. So eating well,
Mm.
exercise daily. I'm trying to work on getting more sleep. But so that to me is what is your non-negotiables?
Okay.
What is it you need that's going to get you through the day? And not just get you through, but really get you through with purpose and intention, and that's to me, that's what it's about. What can I do that's going to get me to you know, being very productive and feeling good when I go to sleep at night. And for me is do my reading in the morning. So, you know, always read my Bible in the morning. Then I go out, I take my son, I spend time with him, I take him to school, I go exercise, and then I get to work, you know, and that seems to really work with my mental state and work with my physical and spiritual state, you know. So
Indeed. Okay.
balance is a hard thing. I just really dislike that word because as
Mm.
women, we're supposed to balance everything. You know, we're supposed
Oh,
to
yeah.
be great at everything, you know, and
Mm.
we're supposed to do everything all at the same time. And I'm not about that life anymore. I'm just not. I'm
True.
not going to sign up for that anymore. I'm going to do the best I can at what I'm doing at the moment, and that's it. You know,
I love that.
but when it comes to the special needs part, my son has autism. He's now 15. And when we did get the diagnosis, he was around 5 years old. And I have to say, for the first 5 years after that diagnosis, I was trying to get it together. Like I left corporate
Mm.
America. I became a stay-at-home mom. I was not used to being a stay-at-home mom because I had my own career at the time. I was in finance. And that word balance was just like, okay, I can't work because I have to take care of my special needs child. You know, it was always felt like I had to do one or the other. And
Mm.
as I started, you know, getting used to my new normal, and that's raising my son and doing what's best for him with his health and wellness needs, I was like, okay, I can't forget about myself also. So the balance word just kind of just faded away. And
Mm.
like I just mentioned, just doing the best I can at what I'm doing at the moment, you know,
Excellent.
and it
Yeah.
seems to be working.
Yeah, it looks, hey, from here it looks like that for sure to me as well. You know,
Thanks.
you're welcome. I love that doing everything with clear intention. I
Yes.
think that's a wonderful way to do things. And like I said, it looks like you're doing amazing. Not that everything's perfect, but
Yeah, no, nothing, you know, not everything is perfect.
I
And you know, and I'm not out here faking it till I make it. That's another just crazy thing that people are doing. No,
Mm.
you know, you just do the best you can with what you have. And the point of this, my business life, my son, is to grow and to learn
Mhm.
and most of all to inspire others, you know.
Mhm. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, you're definitely doing that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I won't keep you too long. I know you've got a busy life and busy schedule, but I
Uh-huh.
would like to ask what two more things. The first
Yeah.
one being, what would you say is the most rewarding part of you having launched your business?
The most rewarding aspect is the fact that I launched it. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
that that is like that is amazing to me. It really is because a lot of folks do not see what happens in the background. They just see
Mm.
what's, you know, they just see the finished product and they have no idea what's happening in the background, you know? And so I am amazed and I am proud, humbled and proud that
Mm.
we have the product. And although we started with one product, I'm so proud of the one product. But
Yes.
pretty much, I guess the aspect is creating a product that is healthy, that
Mm.
tastes amazing, and that looks beautiful. I mean, that to me, I am just so proud of that. And that's what it didn't matter how long it was going to take. I wanted something that's people are going to love and that people are going to want to just touch and feel and just love the packaging and just love carrying, you know, my product in their tote bag or in their backpack. Um, Another thing that is so rewarding is actually getting DMs and text messages that the product is amazing and fantastic and it tastes
Oh.
great. That to me just warms my heart. And you know
Oh.
how much people are inspired by Miles' story. It's just it's very, very cool.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, those are, yeah, and like I said, I'm proud of you all the way from Texas. I'm
Thank
loving what you're
you.
doing for y'all. You're
And
very
I'm proud of
welcome.
you also.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Um, well, lastly, I wanted to ask, you can tell everyone how to find your products, and if you have any events or anything special coming up, go ahead and plug that too. And then as well as that, I will also link all of these things in all the social media platforms that I
Oh,
am sending this
that's
interview to. Yes.
that's great. I just want to throw some inspiration out there for those who
Yes,
are thinking
please,
about
please.
doing a product, regardless if it's a food product, jewelry, clothing. Don't get caught up in like I did. Don't get caught up in who's doing it, how many products are out there, or even the fact that you don't have connections and you just don't know how. Um, Take the time to think about what you want to do, even if it's messy, even if it's not totally clear. Just start jotting things down. Before you know it, you have almost something totally like finished. You know what I mean? Oh, I like something that's, warm. I want something that's, hot. I want something that's spicy. Start writing that stuff down. And before you know it, you're developing an actual product. Don't be afraid to ask questions and reach out to people that you admire. That's the only way you're going to learn. And as far as announcements are concerned, there is really no big announcements. I have a few things coming up that, of course, I'll be sharing on social media. But right now, for us at Selym Snacks, it's really about just getting out there, touching as many people as we can, getting the product in front of as many people as we can. Actually, of course, I'm a ham, so it's kind of hard to see it on here.
Oh, I was
but
going to ask. Okay.
Yeah, just getting the product into as many hands as possible. We're looking at a few farmers markets to to introduce our products, and of course with that, some trade shows to introduce our new product. So we do have a few things coming up that we're really happy and thrilled about, and it's really just about now just getting out there and just inspiring and connecting and growing a community. The way to get in contact with me is through our website, www.selymsnacks.com, and of course on Instagram at Selym Snacks and Tawana Cherie Miller.
Wonderful. Okay. Yes. Well, like I said, I'll be definitely hitting you up, and I hope that all of my listeners do as well.
Yes.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to come to talk to me and my listeners. And you really pulled back the veil on so many aspects of business that people sometimes don't like to talk about. They only want to talk about the shiny, glossy, fun part.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're welcome.
coming, and I wish you all the luck. And I'm going to
Oh,
do
I
what I
need
can to
it.
help promote. Yeah.
Thank you
Well, hey,
so much. This was great, and you are so much fun to talk to. I would come back and talk to you anytime. So thank you for the
thank.
opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Of course, I will keep that in mind. All right. Well, so ends another great episode of the Ties That Bind DFW. Please stay tuned for our next episode and be blessed. Thank you so much, Tawana. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.